I'm going to very briefly talk to you about some initiatives. Luís, can you pass the slide, please? Some initiatives that that some of us in cE3c have had, and I begin acknowledging the talk that we had yesterday and that we are going to have today. And although yesterday the day was dedicated to the regular work of the members in cE3c, we could already see that many of the talks yesterday, I just put them here, and maybe I have forgotten some of them, I don't know, I'm sorry, but I just have put it here listed. So what we heard yesterday, some posters, and what we will also hear today about other members of cE3c, and seeing how their real activity, professional activity, has really changed a little bit and dedicated to look at COVID-19. So we have seen yesterday very interesting presentations, Jessica, Ricardo, Lourdes, a poster by Lourdes and another by Teresa Nogueira yesterday, and today we're going to discuss them. And then, of course, today we are going to hear about Marta's work in communication, and Monica, of course, with the COVID Detect project in a little bit. And yesterday also we saw a very nice initiative from our associate members that just put together some activities that are very important in this social commitment and awareness. These are the words that I want to highlight, okay? And they showed very nice initiatives about sustainability. So we have seen that already. Luís, just pass. And what I'm also highlighting in this slide, I'm not going to talk more about this. This is not really an initiative from cE3c, but I want to highlight this, which is just a general statement about our animal welfare body in FCU. I am the president of the animal welfare body. And of course, we are not dedicating specific work to COVID-19 in our animal research in FCU. But I want to highlight that there has been a big debate and a big discussion worldwide concerning animal research and the use of animal for scientific purposes, specifically in the view of COVID-19. It's a very important debate. It's a very interesting debate, and I have put in our ORBE FCU, which is our animal welfare body of FCU. In the site, you have here the site if you want to look at it. You have a series of initiatives and debates going on around this issue. So is there a social awareness or a better acceptance for animal use because of issues coming from COVID-19, and especially, as you understand, about the vaccine development. You have here an interactive map. There's an interactive map, very interesting, where you can see in each country what is exactly going on using animal research concerning COVID-19. So I thought it was a good idea to leave you this information too, although it is not directly related sorry, to cE3c. Luís? Please. So other initiatives, and these are the very small things that I'm going to talk to you about specifically today, and these are specific issues that cE3c members have taken in their hands to help in the COVID approaching and fighting that we are all going through. So it's the Centro de Ciências Well that you have already had a presentation by Ricardo, and also I'm going to let Luís talk to you a little bit in a second about the personal protective equipment, so the PPEs that we have been trying to helping a little bit. But what I really want to put in this slide, and Ricardo has talked about values and very important values that he has highlighted. I put in this cloud something that I really praise. So what is behind, what is the driving force of all these initiatives is what I think I summed up here. So the will to help, generosity, solidarity, cooperation, and then also commitment, resilience, and professionalism. And all this is driven by something very important, that is scientific rigor and science-based evidence. I want to highlight this very important issue, because nowadays we are driven by so many strange and obscure forces, and I really want to make a statement. It's very important to stick to this. So we are volunteers, we are working, yes, but always basing our activity on a very solid scientific background. Okay, Luís, please. So I have not been so brave as Ricardo, so I just put here a photo, but it's out of focus because I never know about these personal protection data issues. So I just put here out of focus. But anyway, this is a photo from the Centro de Testes de Ciências well that you saw, you just heard about in big detail and very detailed by Ricardo Dias. And it has been for me a pleasure, a real pleasure to be a little grain, you know, a little bit of this machinery, of this machine that is really gigantic. This is big, so the real credits are to be given to Ricardo, to Margarida Gama Carvalho, to Filipa Silva, and so these are the persons that really began with everything. Okay, I want to highlight also Rita Zilhão. Rita was the first person taking care of the human resources, and then I took over Rita's task, but I had everything was already set by Rita. Okay, so I had a really easy job, which does not mean that it is an easy job to manage the human resources, but it has been a real pleasure and a challenge. So from June, more or less, so from May to June, Rita set the basis for this. From June on until now, I have been taking over sorry, my cat, this task that I'm very happy to help with. It's a daily thing. In the last weeks, it has been a little bit more relaxed for me because we are, as Ricardo told, we are in a different phase now. We have this kind of professionalized team going on. But every time that the volunteer work is needed, I'll be there, and I'm very, very happy to help with this, with what I can. But the real backbone of this are the volunteers, and the volunteers are more than 50. They come, as Ricardo told you, from school. It's very nice to see some very ex-students of mine from a long time ago. So when I went to CT, I saw these guys coming in, and I saw these are our ex-students from a long time ago. They just came back to the house, and they are helping. Which is really, really rewarding for us. So you are going to hear a little bit about Leandro Batista is going to talk to you. Leandro has been a volunteer in the CT and also a former student of ours in school, and also many others. Okay, so I also want to highlight the Ordem dos Biólogos, which has done a wonderful job doing the organization of the volunteers. And so as Ricardo told, this has been a teamwork that only can work this way. Okay, all together doing specific things and committing to that specific job that we all have to do. And I tell you, these volunteers are really fantastic guys. Okay, I could testify this. So when somebody was missing for some reason, you immediately have 5 or 6 bringing up to say, I can go and replace him. Okay, every day, in the week and in the weekends. So I really think this is a very important thing that I want to highlight. It has been very rewarding to see this community work, okay, and this very professional work also. Okay, Luís, please. So this is the last slide. Ricardo has also shown from my part just the hashtag Juntos Somos Mais Fortes, and believe me that when you are working in this fantastic group, you really feel that. It's not just a word. It's really true. Okay, so I want to thank the CT for having me. I've been very glad to help with what I can. Okay, so now I'm going to let you pass to Luís, and please, Luís, go ahead. Luís is going to talk to you about the PPE equipment that we have. Okay. No, not yet, Cristina. No. Luís, go ahead. Luís is going to go on.
Sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Sorry, Luís.
Okay, so I apologize if my voice is a little bit muffled because of the mask, because I'm here right now at one of the rooms of the school microscopy facility, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about the very, very small contribution that we did here for protection equipment that we produced at the very beginning of the pandemic. So here at the school microscopy facility, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about in an instant, we have a 3D printer. And at the start of the pandemic, as you can see here, there was a lack of a few components, a few key components of ventilators, especially in Italy. So people at hospitals were trying to book the ventilators, and a lot of these little valves were being damaged, and they could not get them from the manufacturer quickly enough. And so what these guys did, let me just do repeat. So what they did was they had access to a 3D printer, and since this is a fairly simple piece of plastic that can be readily 3D printed, they started doing this. So at the start of the pandemic, I kept my eye on all of these projects to try to see if needed, if the situation in Portugal got bad, if we could do this and provide some ventilators. Fortunately, we did not come to that point, but there was a lot of different other projects related to 3D printed that started popping up. One of them was from the Prusa Research Center, which are essentially the main manufacturers of 3D printers based in Europe. And they started doing a quickly printed 3D visor that could be assembled just with this part made in a 3D printer that holds the visor. And then the visor is a simple acetate sheet that can be assembled directly onto this 3D printed part. And so Gabriela, at the time I was looking at all of these projects, and Gabriela told me about more or less the Portuguese branch of this project, which was being done at Instituto Superior Técnico. So they took this original model and they made a few changes, and they started more or less crowdsourcing these kinds of prints from all different people, and they had their own office to be able to assemble the full visors and then distributed them into hospitals, clinics, all different kinds of places where medical personnel was starting to need them. So as you remember, at first, we had a very severe lack of protective equipment. These masks, these kinds of visors, gloves, etc. So the maker community started to come together and doing these kinds of prints. So what I did was, here at the full microscopy facility, which is a joint cE3c and BioEasy facility here at Full Campus, and I'm the optical microscopy technician, we had a cE3c purchased 3D printer already. And I usually use this 3D printer, and 3D printers are usually used at microscopy labs to do these kinds of couplers to ensure that old machinery can work together at a good cost. And this is the kind of stuff that we've been doing. So at start, since Gabriela told me about this project and we agreed that it would be very good to contribute, during lockdown, I took the printer home and I started doing these visors. So here is a small video of one of the very first prototypes of the visor, the one that was being distributed by Instituto Superior Técnico. This is the very first batch that I produced and that I went to deliver to Technic. And then later on, I got my hands on a better model that allowed to print 2 of these at a time in a single print bed. So the area here in the print bed is limited, but as you can see in the first model, I could only print 1, and this one I could print 2 at a time. So it came to a point where I had a fairly substantial amount of 3D printed holders, and most of these we delivered to Instituto Superior Técnico, who were centralizing the kind of the assembly, and also to several hospitals and health centers in the Lisbon area. The very last visors that we produced here at Faculdade de Ciências, I assembled them myself, and it was a very fortunate turn of events that acetates were no longer being used by professors and teachers here at the Faculty of Science. So at the Departamento de Biologia Animal Secretary Office, we had cases of these abandoned because people do not use them anymore, but they were absolutely essential to be able to assemble these quickly, to assemble quickly all of these visors that we could deliver to researchers here at the University of Lisbon, at Faculdade de Ciências, to both cE3c and to BioEasy researchers. So right now, this is the work that we did. It was a very small contribution, but it was very, very rewarding because we were able to contribute a little bit. Right now, we have a new 3D printer that cE3c purchased. It's waiting to be assembled. It's going to look like this one. It's a more advanced model than the previous one, and actually, the previous one is in need of a few of some fine tuning, because I printed a lot of visors and that wears down on the mechanism. So it's a very good thing that we have a new one ready to work. And right now the full microscopy facility is, we're here open for you for all of your 3D printing needs. If you have some kind of device, some kind of part that you need for your work, for field work, for whatever you need. And of course, as a microscopy facility, we are also an image analysis facility, and we're very, very eager to get your projects. And for example, this one here on the left is some work that we did for Sara Magalhães group, in which we're trying to use machine learning to quantify the damage being caused by her spider mites in leaves. So it's very difficult to quantify this, and it's usually done by hand and by eye, which is a very morose and fairly subjective work. And here in this work, we managed to use some previously existing tools using machine learning to be able to segment these directly. So this is one of the work that we can do here at the microscopy facility. And that's about it. That's what we had to offer. Thank you.